Hi, my name is Nyla, and I am 7 years old. I like my astronomy class, and I am loving it. And I've been learning my planets like the moon and Earth and the Venus, Mercury, and astronomy class is awesome. I've been learning about like Egypt and that stuff. And king and queens and and pyramids and
What do you think thus far of the International Homeschool program?
I believe it's the best investment I could have made for my daughter and for myself as well, because learning astronomy and African heritage, it was needed. It was much needed, and
Blessed love to each and everyone. Give thanks, of course, for your present. Sante Sana for life. And of course, salamta and greetings to all. We glorify the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie I. You are into the Tiger's Nest, the Honorable Priest Isaac here with you at this moment. And as we speak about the Tiger's Nest, just encouraging you to join us for the radio annals edition of the Tiger's Nest. That's this evening, 7 p.m. sharp. Of course, you know, today officially is the 5th of May. It is Liberation Day, Ethiopian Liberation Day in Ethiopia, not African Liberation Day now, which is the 25th day of May, but Ethiopian Liberation Day. So we'll be definitely celebrating with such. But what I want to do right now, I want to get into an interview, which was held actually this morning, early this morning on the Observer radio station. And this was Observer AM with host Darrell Matthew Ward. And he had a guest psychologist to some degree. Well, you'll get her full accolades in a moment. In a moment, I'll bring that to you. And they were speaking about the whole aspect of the dangers of marijuana. But what I want you to do is to take in this conversation for yourself. Some interesting points were made. And I'm also going to look at some of the comments that were made beside that conversation. And let's see where we go with this.
Your voice counts. Your questions are answered. This is Observer AM.
7:31 in Antigua and Barbuda. This is Observer AM. My name is Darren Matthew Ward, and we have a very special guest consultant at the Sir Lester Bird Medical Center in Internal Medicine and Psychiatry. I suspect the large percentage or the lion's share of our conversation is centered around psychiatry, and this is none other than Dr. Chanel Joseph. And I see a message or two coming in commending you. Individuals who would have.
And let me just come in there to be official. So it's psychiatry, Dr. Chanel James, psychiatry, not psychology. So please forgive me. But let us continue with this discussion here.
And seeing firsthand your expertise. You were getting into something that I wanted to ask you. The government of Antigua and Barbuda took a decision to decriminalize certain amounts of marijuana usage. I went to an event on the weekend, I won't say which, and the event was continuing, or it was there. I went to an event, but what struck me more than the event itself was the number of persons of all ages smoking weed or smoking marijuana, interchangeable terms. Mm-hmm. I mean, the air was thick. Does that have an impact? And I know this is not, there were other events that some of my friends and associates would have gone to, and they noticed the same thing. Does that trouble you? And if so, why?
It troubles me because, let's see, I opened my private practice late October, so we're talking about 6 months. And at least once a week, I get usually a young male, 18, 21, less than 30 for sure, in my office, brought in by a family member with concerns about their marijuana use. And it's not having to do with the amount that they use or how often, it's what it's doing to them. The most common thing that I see is psychosis, which is hallucination, seeing things, hearing things, or paranoid thoughts. They're thinking somebody is out to get them, going to hurt them, or watching them, and it leads to strange behaviors. They're not sleeping at night, not eating, boarding up the entire house, hiding things, cutlery, strange behaviors. Usually I recommend staying away from the marijuana. For a small population, they're able to resolve whatever they're experiencing just from staying away from the marijuana. But there are some that even with staying away from it, the psychosis is still there. And so I would have to prescribe a medication. The medication does help. But the trouble I always end up in, even myself and the family, is that once they're back to, quote unquote, they're normal, they go right back to the marijuana. And so there are some people, they're still smoking, but I'm treating the negative effects of it. I'm not so sure that it's the marijuana itself versus what may be put in it. I know at the hospital, they've drug tested a few people who've come in with issues like that. The marijuana is positive, but so is cocaine. I know they check for those two. There are other drugs that could be put in, but the hospital isn't necessarily checking for those. So
what's interesting, that she said, and, with no disrespect at all, even to the host, somehow I don't think he expected that answer, really. I mean, I know the host, really, and I know he's not no fan of no marijuana, really, So I wouldn't even go no further than that. So somehow I don't think he expected the doctor to even go as far as to say it may be more than marijuana. Sometimes when they check, they have cocaine in their blood, and she's just mentioning that the hospital itself actually doesn't check for other drugs. Imagine that.
At least positive, but so is cocaine.
Listen,
I know they check for those two. There are other drugs that could be put in, but the hospital isn't necessarily checking for those. So I at least know some of them, cocaine.
And of course, tobacco, Tobacco is a terrible thing. You understand? Anyone that smoked tobacco for years and stopped can tell you that.
Is involved.
And even you young ones that are listening to me, those of you who are coming into this as well, tobacco is a horrible thing. That's nothing you should be inhaling, breathing in, and having it passing through your cranium. All right. It's not the holy herb. It's not the tree of life.
They've drug tested a few people who've come in with issues like that. The marijuana is positive, but so is cocaine. I know they check for those two. There are other drugs that could be put in, but the hospital isn't necessarily checking for those. So I at least know some of them. Cocaine is involved, but who knows if it's an additive or a chemical they're using to preserve it. It's just unknown at this point.
Parents obviously would be concerned. I mean, being a parent myself. Should there be a conversation with our children in respect of marijuana usage? Should we say, yes, it may not be, have been decriminalized, and so it may be something your friends are doing, but you shouldn't do it? Would you be happy if parents took that particular stance?
I would be very happy. I think mainly because their brains are still developing. And so the psychological effects of marijuana, the way how it moves the chemicals in the brain.
I wanted
A
to
lot
hear
of
this.
people think when it's natural, it can't be toxic, it can't be bad for you. But there are marijuana or THC receptors in the brain, and in a young...
You hear what she said? She just said that there are marijuana or THC receptors in the brain. I mean, when we used to say that, people used to say we're lying. You hear what the doctor say. There, whatever else she's going to say after that. But there are THC receptors in the brain, according to this doctor here. I know the host didn't expect her to say that neither. Maybe it did not even go down too well.
People think when it's natural, it can't be toxic, it can't be bad
And
for you. But
I check in her locks in. Somehow the man's anyway, let me guess.
there are marijuana or THC receptors in the brain.
Let me not insinuate anything.
And in a young preteen teenager whose brains are still developing, you want to avoid any chemicals that might interfere with that process.
Exactly. So I mean, if there are THC receptors in the brain, that can be the chemical that's interfering with the process. It got to be the tobacco and even all of those wrappers that one's use, even a regular wrapper, paper. Because remember, you know, it's unless you're burning a chalice, Rasta. Not even a regular fire pipe, but a chalice. This is a different thing, eh? The chalice is a different thing. These psychiatrists and these other ones need to come up to these realms. You know, this is the level of science that none of them ever went through or comprehend. The chalice, the clouds that we are making. You know, we ain't smoking no paper. So all of these cherry papers and chocolate papers that one does be partaking of, extremely dangerous. Let's just look at some of these comments here. This is from the radio station itself. This is from Facebook. Someone here is saying, Niran Israel is saying, this person literally trying to put blame on something that is harmless. Okay. Then this Augustine Alfred says, plus it's only on certain persons it will have an effect, and each strain has their use, be it sativa, indica, or the hybrids. And yes, cannabis can be abused just like other herbs, and substances can be abused too. However, quit the broad brushing and only have misplaced negative comments and statements about cannabis. Some of them never even drink some ganja tea. Some of them even never even drink some ganja tea or grow a kush, but behave like they are experts because they read a few books and what the system inject in their psyche. Okay, that was a lengthy one. Then I think he returns and says the information she is inadequate and not precise. Well, she is, I think she says she has, is inadequate and not precise to a specific type of people and cannabis strain. And therefore, the information is very misleading. And then this one here, Gary Mason says, that sounds like cocaine, they're smoking. I am a weed smoker and an ex-cocaine user. I see people bug out of cocaine, not from weed. This is the truth. And then this brother here says, we do not do that to people. Why not ask what they put in the weed? All right. And this one says, good morning, everyone. All right. And this one here said, this is key. Anro Roberts says, the interviewer does no research. That's Darren Matthew Ward. He just sits and listens, laugh out loud. Now I know why he is on his 4th COVID shot. That says a lot, and that's the truth. Eh? But anyway, give thanks continually, just kind of bringing you up to speed with what's taking place here on that level and the mind frame of the people, Rastafari. But I mean, what do you think? You know, let us know what you think about that kind of conversation. And I'm kind of glad that she said a few things. For example, the THC receptors aspect of it being in the brain. That means the brain is prepared to receive THC. Whether you need it to mature to a certain level, I'm not going to fight her with that. But the point is, the brain was designed to receive, to welcome THC. That's a fact. She just said it, you know, and I'm happy she clearly showed you that, hey, They test the youth when they come in, and they always find something extra, cocaine and other drugs, but they're not looking for other drugs. So it can't be the marijuana as such. And I think tobacco also, because a lot of these youths around here smoke a lot of tobacco, and a lot of these cherry and chocolate and strawberry wrappers they be wrapping up. So you got to be definitely careful when it comes to these different things. Give thanks for the holy herb. Yes, but anyway, family, give thanks for your presence, of course. Just giving you a quick reminder. Remember, again, as I told you last night, the time is at hand. And remember, the space is extremely limited for this Monday virtual workshop, specifically directly coming to you from the Priest Isaac's Institute of Holistic Knowledge and Redemption Healing. We're talking about natural childbirthing educational workshop. Yes, just a few days away. The 9th of May, and that's 8 p.m. Give thanks for all of you who already have your tickets. Definitely, I'm honored that you took this very seriously. This has to do with bringing life into the world, brother. 2 hours training, question and answer. Remember, at the end of it, you will receive your certificate of completion. And of course, the Honorable Empress Naya, who will be facilitating us. She will be covering preconception, prenatal support for natural pregnancy, natural birthing and spiritual techniques. And of course, your natural postpartum, pardon me, healing. And of course, the up word here is natural. And of course, at home birthing space. And remember, there will be live question and answer. Make sure you come with your pen and your pad, you know, for sure. And there's so many other things that will be offered that evening. Remember, you will be given a 1 month free virtual doula support. And remember also, even if you were not coming to the workshop, you could even consult or contact the Honorable Empress Naya for consultations as it relates to your pregnancy, or looking to get pregnant, or after pregnancy. The whole works, you know. Celebrate life. So keep in mind, family, the space is very limited. Remember, it is a webinar workshop. I mean, yes, we can upgrade and have 1 million people in the room, but it's a workshop. It's a workshop that, of course, we want to concentrate on you. So we're not going to have, like, there's a certain amount of people there, let's put it that way. And the space is already tight. So you should contact us, not later. You should contact us right now. Email priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com, priestisaacinstitute@gmail.com, and register and secure your space for Monday. Remember, you can make your payments right away using the CashApp and the PayPal. Of course, the link is in the description below. Definitely. And remember, it's only $50 for this workshop, you know, man. Your whole family could come and definitely learn the art of giving birth naturally from all the different angles. Oh yes, what a wonderful sit down this will be. Looking forward to your presence. Yes, family, don't forget the Tiger's Nest this evening, 7 p.m. sharp. Radio Anu. Give thanks for your presence. Lassie, Jah Rastafari. Blessed love.